The sound came just after sunset. Soft, broken sobs threading through the trees. Daniel stopped mid-step, his boots sinking into the damp forest floor. He'd been hiking alone for 3 hours, following a trail that shouldn't even exist on any modern map. His GPS had long since lost signal, and the air smelled of moss and rot. But that cry, it was unmistakable. A child. "Hello?" he called, his breath visible in the chill. The crying stopped. Then, after a pause, it began again, louder this time, somewhere ahead, beyond a tangle of bracken and birch. He hesitated. Every instinct told him to turn back, but curiosity, or maybe guilt, pushed him forward. One to cry in the dark. The forest grew darker as Daniel moved deeper. The trees pressed closer together, their branches like skeletal fingers blotting out the sky. The crying rose and fell with the wind, a strange rhythm that made the hair on his arms stand. "Hey!" he shouted. "Are you lost?" No answer. Only that same sobbing, softer now, almost like it was waiting for him. When he finally stepped into a small clearing, he saw it, a little figure crouched by a stream. It wore a tattered blue jumper, one sleeve torn off, mud caked to its small hands. "Hey, it's okay," Daniel said gently, crouching a few feet away. "I won't hurt you." The child didn't move. "Are you lost?" Slowly it looked up, and Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The face was wrong. Not grotesque, not monstrous, just wrong. The proportions slightly off, the eyes too wide and too dark, swallowing the faint light. Its skin looked pale, almost translucent, and the lips were trembling, though the sobs had stopped. "Where's your mom or dad?" Daniel asked. The child tilted its head. Then, in a small voice, it said, "You shouldn't be here." The words were flat, empty. "Why is that?" Daniel asked, forcing a nervous laugh. The thing blinked, slowly. "It's coming." A branch cracked somewhere behind him. "Two," the thing in the trees. Daniel spun round, torch beams slicing through the dark. Nothing. Only trees. Only silence. When he turned back, the child was gone. He cursed, shining his light in every direction. "Hey! Wait!" The crying started again, this time behind him. He swung the torch, heart thudding, but there was nothing there, just shadows. The forest was playing tricks on him. It had to be. Then he saw footprints in the mud, small, barefoot, leading deeper into the woods. He followed. Minutes turned to an hour. The trees grew denser. The ground sloped downhill into what felt like an endless hollow. And that's when he found it, a small wooden toy, half buried in leaves, a doll carved crudely from twigs, its head wrapped in cloth, its face scratched with 2 dark circles for eyes. Daniel picked it up, frowning. "Weird." When he looked up again, the child stood 20 feet ahead, motionless. "Hey, you scared me," he said, forcing a smile. "Let's get you out of here, okay? I'll call the police." The child tilted his head again. "He doesn't like you talking." "Who?" The thing raised its hand, pointing into the trees. Daniel turned his torch and froze. A tall figure stood among the pines, thin, motionless, blending with the shadows. Its arms were long, almost too long, and its face was hidden behind something pale like bark or bone. Then it moved, not stepped, slid. The torch flickered. When the beam steadied, the figure was gone. 3, the cabin. Daniel ran. Branches tore his jacket. Roots snagged his boots, but he didn't stop until he saw a faint orange light through the trees. A cabin. Old, crooked, half-eaten by moss, but real. He burst through the door, slamming it shut behind him. His chest heaved, his pulse hammering in his ears. The inside smelled of mold and something sweet, rot mixed with candle wax. Cobwebs clung to the corners, and a fire burned low on the hearth, though no one seemed to be there. "Hello?" No answer. He grabbed a poker from beside the fire, gripping it tight. On the mantelpiece sat more of those wooden dolls. Dozens of them, each one crudely shaped, each with a tiny piece of fabric or hair tied around it. One of them wore a torn blue jumper. Daniel dropped it instantly. From the corner of the room came a faint drip, drip, drip. He turned. A trail of water led from the doorway to a trapdoor in the floor, where it would look darker, wet. He knelt, hesitating. Then, with trembling fingers, he lifted it. A gust of cold air rushed up, smelling like the river, and something dead. In the faint glow of his torch, he saw faces. Not human faces. Carved ones. Dozens of them. Painted on wood. Floating in the water beneath the floorboards. All with those same wide black eyes. The whisper came next, right by his ear. Found you. For the chase. He slammed the trapdoor and stumbled back, knocking over a chair. The window shattered. The child crawled through, its movements jerky and wrong, its head twitching in small, sharp motions. Mud dripped from its mouth as it grinned. "Why are you running?" it asked in Daniel's own voice. He bolted for the door. The forest swallowed him whole again. Behind him, footsteps, many footsteps, followed. The sound of soft crying multiplied, overlapping into a chorus of distorted wails. He tripped on a root and went sprawling, his torch skidding away. In the flickering beam, he saw shapes moving between the trees, small ones crawling hunched, children, dozens of them, their faces pale and wet, eyes black as ink. They surrounded him, whispering his name. Daniel, Daniel. He stumbled to his feet and ran. He didn't know where he was going, only that he had to get away. The forest seemed endless now, every direction the same. Then, ahead, a faint light again. Not orange this time. White. Cold. A clearing open, and in its center stood a stone circle, ancient, half-buried. The stones etched with strange runes. The crying stopped. Silence fell, thick and heavy. And then, from behind one of the stones, the tall figure emerged. 5. The thing that wore faces. It towered over him. Its limbs too long, its skin like the inside of a tree, pale and veined. Its head was smooth, featureless except for the faint outline of eyes beneath the bark. The air around it buzzed like static. Daniel backed away, tripping over one of the stones. "Please," he gasped. "I don't want any trouble. I was just trying to help." The figure tilted its head, as if listening. Then the child's voice came again, but from it. "You came when I cried," it said softly. "Now you stay." The other children began to emerge from the trees, forming a ring around the stones. Their faces shimmered, flickering between childlike and monstrous, eyes hollowing out, mouth stretching. The tall thing reached up and peeled part of its face away, revealing something dark and shifting beneath, like ink and water. Daniel screamed as 1,000 whispers flooded his head. He saw flashes, children lost in the woods, drawn by the same sound, their faces taken, their bodies left hollow. The thing stepped closer. "Every tear a lure," it whispered. "Every cry a call." Daniel swung the poker, hitting its arm. It didn't flinch. The metal bent like it struck stone. Then it grabbed him. Its hand was cold, freezing, and when it touched his skin, he saw himself reflected in those dark, endless eyes. And then he wasn't standing anymore. He was watching, from the edge of the clearing. He saw the creature kneel beside his own body. It placed a hand on his face, and slowly it began to mold it, shaping it like clay. When it stood again, it wore his features. The children clapped, giggling, and the thing that now looked like Daniel smiled. 6. The return. Morning came with mist and silence. A hiker found him, or what looked like him, standing by the roadside, covered in dirt and scratches, staring blankly at the trees. The man took him to the nearest village. Daniel barely spoke. The police searched the woods for days. They found the cabin, the dolls, the trapdoor, but no sign of any bodies, no sign of any child. When they asked Daniel what happened, he said only one thing: "I found a child crying in the woods." They thought he was in shock. He was released after a few days, though the locals whispered that he seemed different, his voice softer, his smile a little too wide. He moved back to his flat in Leeds, tried to resume life. But neighbors said they'd sometimes hear crying from inside his flat at night, the sound of a little boy sobbing, muffled behind the walls. And when someone asked him about it once, he smiled and said, "It's just the woods remembering me." 7. Epilogue. A year later, another hiker went missing in the same forest. When searchers combed the area, they found a small wooden doll near the creek. It wore a torn jacket, its carved mouth twisted into a smile. That night, as the search team packed up, one of them swore he heard it, a child's voice, faint and broken, echoing through the trees. "Help me?" And though they tried to ignore it, Every one of them turned their heads the same way, hearts pounding, drawn toward a sound that promised innocence and delivered only hunger.